All right, hello. This is Daniel Guys from ED Films. I'm the creative and technical director here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to load our latest loading video with a new name and the shout out. I'm sorry, guys. I will do that we'll have that happen on the next stream. Sorry about that. We'll have that loaded up. This weekend's been a bit of a gong show, but we'll have that up for the next stream. I just want to do a quick. What are we doing here? I'm just pulling up everything, getting ourselves all sorted out. So as I said, my name is Daniel Guys. I am the art and technical director here at ED Films. We're an animation lab based in Montreal. Been here since 2007. We're focusing on process and research and dev for creating tools as we make animated content. So the Twitch channel is covering works in progress and essentially all the process of making films, warts and all. So as I struggle through trying to make stuff, and the rest of the team will eventually be getting more involved as we get going. But that's where we're at. So thanks for joining us today. I think where we're going to start is last time we were on the stream, we were just putting together this After Effects character. And I think we added the bones, and I started playing. I think I should demonstrated some of the different things I was doing for the rest of the body so that we could get nice animation on the actual pieces of the spine and everything like that, and plus things with the leg. So we worked on the leg, which took us quite a while to sort out. So now I'm in the process of just adding a little bit more dynamics and stuff. So I've added multiple pieces to the leg, and I've just started to play with the cloth stuff using Colin Harvey's script, really simple script. It's not 100% finished yet, obviously, because it doesn't waver and do stuff like that. But essentially, it's getting there. I'm basically, for these specific pieces, I'm tracking the hip position, the actual hip spot, wherever the hip's going. And the cloth is parented to a hip with zeroed out. So there's a hip here. Let's see. It's a pelvis. Sorry. I had the pelvis. I duplicated the pelvis, and then I made a pelvis zeroed just using the IK goal tool. And essentially, what that does is it'll keep my cloth, even if the pelvis is bending or rotating. The character is turning. It will keep the cloth facing downward. So if we just rotate this like this, it keeps the cloth oriented downwards, so it doesn't rotate. So there's this pelvis will just sort of stay in the spot. Anyways, it kind of keeps things from me having to make a whole bunch of counter rotate things. So that's working okay. Essentially, lots of little nitpicky little stuff to do on all of these. I was able to add some extra pieces on the legs without having to create a whole bunch of extra code, because I'm just following the code that we did last time, where we have a limit set to the front and the back leg motion. So if you watch here, for any of you who are here that didn't see that last stream, if you're really curious about it, I know it's long and boring, but if you're curious about how we did it, just check out the last stream. But essentially, it waits until a certain point before the leg pieces start to move. And the same thing when going backwards. So if we look at this here, it's hard to see right now because we don't have all the shadows and stuff put in, but I was hoping to have this whole thing rigged up and finished, but of course that didn't work out. So you see how it waits for a beat. I'm going to add one more piece to hide the back of the leg popping in there. I just need a couple more little pieces. But the nice thing about this is as soon as you've done the root code, all the rest of the stuff can just sort of follow along. So I've been focusing on all the rest of the pieces on the pelvis. So I'll get all that sorted out. But I thought what we would do is we'll focus on the 3D head today, because I've been promising I would do that. There's still a lot of work on this to sort out, a lot of little details to figure out, and a lot of things to possibly break. As you see, as you rotate certain things and you do stuff with your pelvis, you're going to get various other problems. So I'm fully expecting to have a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to have to work through. I won't go through all that stuff with you guys on the stream, because that's just nauseatingly tiring to go through. I'll just come back later with an overview and show you what we figured out. But essentially the goal will be that, I mean, you'll see there's problems. Watch, as soon as I do, it's working okay. The limits and stuff should work, and I fixed all the rotations, so ultimately it does hold together okay. But that's the stuff we're gonna have to watch for. So we'll see what happens. And some of these things, yeah, some of these things I want to adjust the anchor points and stuff like that. Like this cloth, I think I need to adjust its anchor point, but because I scaled it up and did a whole bunch of wacky stuff to it. I'd say in the whole it's working really well. It's a very, very, I would say it's a very complicated puppet. Oh, hey, Pachelevic, sorry. Yeah, the last stream we focused. I'll just show you what we focused on since you missed it, but I'll show you I'll show you what the point of it was so that you don't have to. You can just scrub through it. Oh, and just so you guys know, I'm going to make this puppet available to everyone once it's finished, so you can see. If you're really curious, you can just start pulling it apart and look at what was done. It's all like super simple tricks as usual. It tends to be my style, is just to do a whole bunch of really simple tricks. I'm trying to avoid really mega coding or doing anything crazy. So I'll just show you what's happening. So we have these leg bells. This looks crazy, but it's not as crazy as you think. Essentially, this thing is, we're using that linear interpolation on the inside of the leg bell here. And what it's basically watching for is, I've got this guy follows the hips rotation. But what it's watching for is it's using a linear interpolation here. And these are all the sliders. There's not a lot of actual code here. The real code's right here. The rest of it is just variables, but this is it right here. It's basically using a linear interpolation and then an ease-in interpolation. But I'm using these interpolations looking for the minimum and maximum rotation value of the hip, and then getting things to start moving. Get things start moving once the leg hits a certain value. So the reason I didn't put it all in here and I put it on these little sliders is so that I could experiment with it until it looked right, because I still don't fully grasp the exact details of the linear interpolation. And yes, Colin Harvey, there are so few pin nulls here because I'm also using Colin Harvey's fancy parenting script, parental guidance. So I've been using that on everything. So really there's a lack of, the timeline is fairly robust, but you'll notice there's very few puppet pins. There's only a handful. There's the main skeleton, which is this core stuff here, but there's not 1,000 pins on everything. So, and part of, this is the extent of all the pins right along here. So part of that is to do with Colin Harvey's script, and where I would have had to have multiple pins on things, but his script maintains offsets. And then the other thing I've been doing is anything that's more cloth-like, so like this stuff here, anything where there's possible deformations going on or anything like that, I've actually decided to nest it in a composition. So I'm trying to keep things cleaner, and I'm not sure what kind of impact that actually will have on the rig speed. But what I'm doing is ultimately all this stuff, which I normally would have done inside of the composition, the original root composition, I'm doing inside of nested comps. Like you can run into problems because if it moves too dramatically, you have to extend the size of your composition. But I'm definitely enjoying the fact that I don't have a trillion pins everywhere, and I can actually just keep the puppet relatively sparse, and anything that I'm doing isn't, it's just not a giant mess, because otherwise I would have hundreds and hundreds of layers all over the place. So, oh yeah, so this comp name and rotation sort, yeah. So this comp name is also really helpful, which Spunrita's just pointing out right now. What I've done also is I've made it so that all the code in these things are referencing this comp name. So that means if I were to duplicate this here, like duplicate this comp and then duplicate it in here, I could have different values on this script and have the same cloth and have it move differently because it's actually referencing itself. So it's looking for its comp name. So if I, like, let's say if I were to duplicate this one, and we change the name to this comp 01, and then I'll just go into here. Let's just pull this over. I'll just pull it over. I don't know if this will be helpful. I don't know if you guys even care about this, but I'll just show you anyway. So right now, this will move with the exact same values of the other one, right? But what I can do now is I'll just go here. I'll find this little cloth piece. And I'll duplicate it like that. And I'll call it comp 01. I'm getting an error because this comp is looking for its own name in the world and it doesn't exist. And then if I alt-click and drag it here, okay. So now what I can do is I can change the values on this one. Let's put the stiffness to 0.2. There you go. So without having to add any extra code or anything, I got another piece with the similar behaviors that's the same look, but now it actually acts a little bit differently because it's looking for its own values. So normally I wouldn't have typically done that in the past, but that's another thing that works really nicely by having the nested comps. I have less puppet pins everywhere, and I can really quickly duplicate a number of pieces and add different qualities to them. So for instance, if I wanted to create 2 pieces of cloth now, and they're both using the same painting, I now have 2 different behaviors on the same piece of cloth that starts to add a little bit of extra depth and everything like that. So it keeps the coding a lot cleaner and keeps things a little more basic. I don't know why I never thought of it earlier. I think, but I'm glad I did now because it's making things easy. So once I start putting on all these little traily, fluffy things, like on all these extra, you see all these little cloth pieces are behind. This is to help fill up the back of the character and to fill out any places where there's little holes. That's what I'll be doing. I'll basically be using that exact same technique to duplicate and add little extra pieces all throughout the puppet just to give it some behavior and some form. The other thing I've been doing is I'll be adding leg rotations to interfere with certain pieces, which I've already been doing. Like this one, this piece here, which is a little, let me just find it really quick. Sorry, guys. It's the little saddle thing. So this thing here, oh, I've got it locked. That's why. So this one is very similar as the other pieces, as the leg pieces. It has a ease in and ease interpolation on it. So it basically watches for the angle of the spine. So if I start rotating things, it only moves at a certain point, and it will only move so much, and then it'll stop. So that gives it a certain bit of stiffness, so it'll slide around, but it's not going to just constantly rotate based on the rotation, which I used to do, which I would just watch the rotation of a spine bone and then like move it all over the place. So now I can set that here, and I can limit how much this thing rotates back and forth depending on how much the character bends. And the nice thing about that is I can also really quickly, which I did, I cheated on this a little bit, which I'm going to clean it up now that I know it'll work. Because it's a nested comp as well, I was pretty much just able to take this and I added another little bop of code, something really, really basic, but it's just to say, like, it's looking at the left leg and essentially saying that because we did this leg bell thing where the leg only starts moving, like the cloth of the leg or the other metal pieces only start moving once the leg collides, I can use the same thing. I just watch that collider, the rotation value here, inside of the leg bell composition, and I just move this guy as soon as it moves. So essentially, it's not going to move until the whole leg starts moving or the material starts moving. So I can just use that math over again and not have it look bad. Because normally I would have tied this to the pelvis or to the left hip, and it would have started moving as soon as the leg started moving. So it wouldn't feel so connected. But I was just able to grab that value and pop it right on top. The one other thing. Oh, it's CT. Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome, Archita. That's great. ctvm.info. That's great. I didn't realize they were giving us a shout out. That's awesome. Thanks for the heads up, Archita. So the other thing I was doing to simplify this process as well, I don't think I did it on this one. Oh, yes, I did. I have the rotation source. I think Spunrita was mentioning that as well. And I've never used this before either. And this is just telling it what layer to watch. So inside the actual composition itself, if we go in here, it's basically saying the leader rotation. Like, what is the leader? And the leader is just the thing to watch that everyone's sort of waiting for to see what happens. I'm just saying, like, use this effect, which is the layer name. So it's just looking for this layer name, and that's just an expression which I never used before, but I really like it now. It's actually really cool. You can use a layer control, and essentially anything you select here is now something you can have as an expression. It's certainly not as an expression, but an expression controller. So I can pick different things to drive this. So again, if I have this guy, which I didn't do on this cloth one yet, I need to do it on this one. I'm getting a little bit all over the map because it's getting to be a bit of a complicated puppet, and I keep trying to figure stuff out as I go. But what I'm watching right here is the where is it? This comp rotation value at time. Oh, where is it? It's this one. There's a driver right here, and this is watching the pelvis. So I was trying to do something, but it wasn't working, and maybe Colin Harvey will know why it's not working, but I was trying to grab the hip global position initial, like INIT as the initial position, and I was trying to grab its value at time, essentially value at time 0. That's what I was doing, but it wasn't working. And I've used it before, where it just looks at the value, the position value at the 0 at the moment of the start of the flick of the video, or the timeline, and then anything after that, that number will always stay the same. So it would find this number because this is the starting position of the pelvis, right? But for some reason, it's not working. I can't get it to work. So I ended up having to put this initial value in right here, which is a little bit annoying. However, if I'm going to use a lot of these little pieces, what I can do is I can source this from the nested clip as well. So I could create on this guy, on this piece of cloth, like, which I do need to do. It's just I have to go and clean this up a little bit. Basically, I can put the layer controller, which will tell us to watch. Let's say we're going to watch the pelvis. The pelvis. We'll be watching the pelvis position, and then I can also add a point control, and then the point control can actually grab that value, so I can put that value in. So it's easier for me depending on what I'm referencing. If I can't use my value at time thing, which I'm trying to do, and let's say it just can't work, that way I can go up here. So guys, I know this seems super complicated, but it's actually not. But I know it seems really complicated. Oh yeah, I'm trying to grab its global position. So actually, there's not really a great way to do that. But actually, this value right here is close enough to the global position right here. So I can use this one, 4038, 5538. So if I go back onto this piece of cloth, 4038, 5538, I can use that point control value instead. So when we're in here, when I'm grabbing this value right here, hip global position, instead of making this number right here, I can just grab, just grab this pen here. I'm just going to copy and paste this from a thing because it's a little bit faster. I can't remember. Oh, I guess I can remember the names. We go like this. I think I can do this. It's comp, and then we go, I think we do this, and we give the name, which is walkie_talking, RIGGED. Probably would be just faster to do this, but I should learn how to code this stuff. Oh no, and then my keyboard switched to French mode. I don't know why it always does that. Oops. Oh, did it do it again? Oh no, it didn't. Okay. So then we go like this, I believe, and then we go dot layer, and then we go bracket, and then we go layer I don't, I think that's how, I can't remember. Let me just double check here. I could be wrong. No, this comp, right, sorry. This comp dot name. Let me just double check and make sure that's right, because I'm a little bit losing my mind. I suck at remembering my own references. Did I do it on this? Yes. Bracket. Okay, no quotations. This comp dot name. Got it. There. And then I have to say what we're looking for. I think it's dot effect. Let me just double check here. This comp name effect. Ugh, this is just so elaborate. It's just a little easier just for me to grab it from here, for God's sakes. Bop. Then we go effect. I believe it is, where was it? It was here. Oh, we should probably rename this. Position init. There. So if I go back in here, POSINIT. That should be right. Position init. Yeah, and then I should probably use an underscore because it's just my usual practice. And I can't remember what this is called. It's called a point control. So I'm not sure if I have the exact syntax for that. Point control. Let's see if that works. No. Method name point control. There's no thing called point control. Okay, what is it called? I might have to do something really annoying. I know it's like bad form, but bear with me for 1 second. Let me just grab this. I'm not sure what it's. I'm just curious. I'm going to pick whip down to. Ugh. This is annoying. Why does everything have to be so complicated? That's called layer control. That's the default. Okay, let's just do this. I'm sorry, this is annoying. I'm just going up here and I'm pick whipping down to this. I just don't know what it's called. Oh, it's called point. It's not called point control. It's called point. She'll see in a second my giant mess I've made. It's called point. So it's bracket. This is not a good teaching because we're such a mess here, but and we seem to still have syntax errors here. There we go. Okay, so now it's referencing that point value, which is great. And then the other thing I need to do is say what layer we're looking at, which is the pelvis. We don't want to look at the pelvis. We basically want to go like this. Just copy that. Well, we could have just modified this too. But, and then in fact, I think it's called layer. Well, let me just see. Hang on. What do we call it? We'll try to keep it consistent. One doesn't have one yet. Let's call it driver. Okay, and what is the effect called? We'll see if it just says if it works with layer. I'm not sure what the actual effect is called. I'll probably have to look it up. Or maybe that worked. Okay, it worked. So basically now I've set this up properly that essentially I can use this to tell the offset. So that just doing that there will actually change the value of things, and I can say which thing, which is our source. So what's our driver? I'm so Colin Harvey, you talking about what I'm demonstrating because I'm doing such a flubflastic job of communicating what I'm doing. I'll show you what's happening in here, Colin Harvey, and you can just look at it. Maybe I'll just paste the code for you. Okay. I don't know if that'll post. Maybe I'll reselect the one that I'm actually doing. It's commented out. For some reason, this piece of code here is not working. Oh, it's trying to do a command. So that's not working. It's not grabbing the value at time of that. I was trying to get it to, in the initial thing, get a 0 value, like the starting position of that layer. And for some reason, it won't grab it. It works when I do it on other projects, but I've never, for some reason it's not working out. I wasn't sure if it's because I'm using a to world or something. So should I be looking at its position instead? I tried using position instead and it still didn't do anything. How do I pass a time parameter afterwards? Because I guess that's one of the things I was having a problem with because I did it before. But so do I have to reference after we do the anchor point, we close the brackets, and then I do another variable like hip global position, and it would actually have. Oh, you posted it above. Sorry. Oh, so I just do point and then 0, comma 0? Okay. So maybe I should try that, because if I try that, then maybe it should. I won't need that extra thing. I won't need the offset. I'll comment out this one and bring this one back. Anchor point, comma 0. Okay, so what it does, we'll see if it moves. Okay, well, it seems to be working. So, Colin Harvey, how come I didn't have to do... Oh, to world, it's point, comma, time, so I don't have to do a value at time expression. I didn't know that. Okay, thank you. Okay, so you don't have to do a value at time when you're actually tracking a point, a to world point, comma, time. So it's part of the syntax. I didn't know it was part of the syntax. Thanks for sending that. Okay, thanks, Colin Harvey. That's great. So we never really I didn't need to put the value at time. I was adding an extra step to it, which didn't actually have to be there. Totally unaware of that. So that's actually really helpful. Colin Harvey, just if I say this correctly, Oh, he just said, Colin Harvey, if you use value at time, if you're pulling a changing value from a property, but since the world changes the value, if you want it at a specific time, you just pass it later. So it's part of the actual syntax. So we're saying grab the anchor point, and then if you put a comma, you're actually specifying at what time. I think by default, if there's no comma, it's just going to mean current time. But if I put comma 0, that means it'll grab it at the very beginning of the timeline. And the same goes with 2comp. So that's really helpful. Thanks, Colin Harvey. So that actually means we don't need, which is fantastic, we don't need this offset control anymore. This one here. We can keep our driver and we keep everything else, and everything works the way we want it to. So we're simplifying slowly. I know this thing it seems really crazy and messy, but I've said it before, it's like looking at a mixing board. You know, it's a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. Really, 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 really basic concept over and over and over again. So like I said, I'll make this file available to you guys so you can play with it if you want. I'm sure for anyone who does coding, this makes a lot of sense, and I'm probably making things seem more complicated than they need to be. But I'm ultimately experimenting with trying to get something that's a little less work after. You know, you do your code once, and then you can just duplicate that over and over again. And subsequently, it makes the setup a little bit more complicated, but the aftermath seems better. Again, I'm not sure what will happen with the speed of the rig. So far, I feel like the rig, while not amazingly fast, I mean, no rig in Maya really is, I'm still finding it relatively easy to work with. It hasn't slowed down too much. I'm not getting any kind of really crazy, you know, I can still pose it generally quickly, and I'm not fighting with it. So far we're so good. We're not doing any kind of redundant code loops or any kind of weird things like that. Okay, so what I wanted to get into today, now that we've spent 40 minutes messing with my code, thanks for your help on that, Colin Harvey. Like I said, I got to clean this thing up. I hate having a whole bunch of things unfinished, like having this not referencing the layer properly, but it's pretty easy stuff to fix. So I think what I was going to move into, just for the sake of playing, is like getting the head in and seeing how we can create some expressions and stuff, possibly to drive an element 3D object. So that we'll build that in a separate composition to begin with. And then we'll try to position it onto the head and body and see what happens. I have no idea how this is going to work. I don't know if it will work. It should, but the head is not as simple as other heads that I've used. It's not just a nested composition. So we're going to be doing the 3D head stuff right away here. And we'll create a new composition for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 minutes. I guess I'll put it, I'm not sure. Let me just, I should have done this before. We'll go 800 by 800 for now. I'll probably have to make it bigger. Let's just I just want to double check the size of the head. Let's reveal the head layer. So it's 800 by, it's about 1,000 by 1,000. Oh no, you're watching that? Man, I want to see that. I want to see that real bad. I'm going to do bigger than 1,000 by 1,000 just because if the head turns down a lot or something, we need to keep that in there. We'll just bop the head in here. I have no idea how this is going to work, so I hope this goes well. Just make sure I have enough room for everything. Bring that head up a little bit. We may need a little more, especially if the head's going to have a little bit of extra translation. Yeah, no spoilers in this town, buddy. Okay, so that gives me a little bit extra, just in case there's a bit of extension happening on the neck. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started on this 3D head. So I'm going to add a new layer here. And we'll put element on. We'll put element on there. I don't think it has to be an adjustment layer. Okay, so like I said, I haven't painted the head. I haven't done much with it. So we're going to be looking at something pretty ugly and raw, but that's okay. So we'll pop into Maya really quick. We have to export this thing. All right. I might have to set the project because I've been working on another 3D project for a bit. Oh, everything's gone into slow-mo land. Yeah, we're on Yanzi. Okay. I was building a rig for the other character and it all disappeared. The file went corrupt and now it's broken. So I lost a few days. Oh, this is not the Volta we want. That's weird. Weird. All right, let's just see. Why is it? It didn't set the project properly. Set project. Okay. This doesn't feel right. Is it right? Is this head UV mapped properly? It feels like, I don't know why we only have one scene with it, but let me just double check and make sure that our UV maps are correct. They look to be. Okay. This is the sort of smoothed one. So if we're going to be using element, yeah, Yanzi broke, but don't worry, it didn't break. It's just I've been building a rig for the animation engine, the animation stuff engine for it, and for the game engine, and it broke. I've been doing the rig from scratch, so, and I'm not used to doing the rigs like that, so it's a little bit. Anyways, whatever. I broke them. It's just the file went corrupt. Now it says it's not a valid. It's not a valid Maya file anymore, so there's something wrong in the ASCII file, and I don't know how to dig apart ASCII files. So I lost a couple days, but I've got to go through the process anyway because I'm trying to learn rigging. I want to get better at rigging and the coding behind rigging, as character TDs are really expensive and really difficult to find. So I think it's a skill I have to focus more energy on. All right, so if we want to bring this guy into element, we will have to do our own, like what we're going to see in element is whatever's at this division level right here. So if we want things smoother, we have to smooth them again. So let's just save this. I don't know why I only have one head. That's crazy business. Hey, dewiiTV. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm looking at it as a learning opportunity, which is the whole reason I'm doing Yanzi. And I'm trying to do Yanzi before I go into the next models I have to do for Home Was Harry Hill. So the whole point of it is to get a best practices and get a good workflow going before I build another character. Because I'm a little bit, I want to be careful of how I rigged the initial old lady character. I just want to really make sure that I'm not going to run into a bunch of problems with the rig. Okay, so I think this is okay. It seems all right. So we'll just close this for now. And we'll delete all history. Edit. Delete all history. So we've got this little basic model. This is not the painted one. This is just the raw one. I got rid of most of the painted one. I think we had a version in there somewhere. Not sure which. I'm just going to double check because I'm stressing out a little bit. I just want to make sure. I have a little portable solid state drive I bring with me every now and then. And it's possible that the Maya file's in here. Yeah, there's the workspace file. So that's definitely probably the one we were using. No, there's only one head in there too. That's irresponsible. Okay, so there's the OBJ files. I just want to double check and make sure I have the same files over here. Okay, they're all there. Same stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take this head. What do we want to do? I'm going to take it out of the group, I think. Actually, let's just duplicate this. I should have actually made a non-smooth group. Let me just do this one more time. No. It doesn't matter. We'll just leave it. I'm sorry. I'm bumping all over the place. I want to do one that's not grouped at all. Come on. Get out. Out of here. And let's make sure everything's sort of separate the way we want. I'm not sure. I can't recall if Element even cares about our grouping. I don't think it does. These are the things we're going to have to muddle with a bit to try to get to work. I'm not sure how they're going to work. I'm not even sure. It may be better to position them straight up first. Swifty6, I will stream my Maya rigging, but probably once I'm a little further along because I'm really learning. I'm literally learning out of a book right now. And Swifty, I've been using some of the tips, like stuff that you've sent me too. So I'm a little bit, I feel like I'm a bit of a noob. So I just want to be a little bit careful before I start. I don't know. These streams are a tough it's a bit of a tough balance because I'm not really sure. You know, I just posted one of the streams on YouTube, and of course somebody already has said like, "Wow, this is really long and boring," which it totally is. So it's not great YouTube content. Okay, so this is fine. I don't know why I keep doing this over and over again. So I'm just going to select this character, pop like that. Don't need that. And we'll just export this. I don't think I need to export one object at a time. I may have to, if it all comes in as one, I may have to put separate materials on each one to identify whether they're separate, but what's this one? Oh, this is the website. Oh, great, Colin Harvey. Awesome. Thanks for throwing it. That's funny. Oh, geez. Export selection. Let's do it as an OBJ. Okay, I think we're good. All right, that's fine. Include options. We're not including anything, really. Just try to keep it pretty clean. Smoothing, normals, yes. Groups, nope. Point groups, materials. I don't have any materials for it anyway. I guess, no, let's we'll go export selection. And we'll put it in OBJ. And we'll say head for element. Yeah, it's an actual quote. I got pretty excited. I have to say, I was it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool. I've been using it every day. It took me a little while to get my brain into it. It's super easy to use, but I was a little intimidated because I didn't really have an instruction manual, but it's so fast. It's amazing. It saves me so much time. I use it on everything right now. Okay, so let's go into scene setup. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. The type is going to be really small. For some reason, Element hasn't adapted to the 4K monitor. So if there's anything you need me to clarify, just let me know. Okay, so let's go into projects, walkie-talkie, Maya, walkie-talkie, OBJ. I may have to separate this thing apart. I'm not sure. I can't remember how this thing brings in stuff. Oh, it's so small. Ugh. I think I might tell this thing to... I can barely see anything. I'm going to tell it to normalize the size, maybe. It's not always a good idea because sometimes then it makes other things not match up properly. Let's put the pivot up here. I'm not sure. We're going to see. Does it see all? No, it doesn't see the separate objects. So I'm going to have to assign separate materials to this to get separate objects. Unless there's a break apart function, which I'm pretty sure there is not. I may be able to change how the object's imported. Wow, it is so hard to read this. I'm going to have to get my glasses on. This is complicated with these. Putting glasses on with this like headset mic thing on is a little complicated. All right. God. There you go. Okay. No, I don't see any way to separate the... Unless... I guess I could have tried to export with groups. We can try that. But I think ultimately what you have to do is separate it with materials. That has been... I remember now. This has typically been my experience. All right, so let's just go back in here. I'll try and export with groups and see if that makes a difference. Like groups. We'll just name it the same thing. Usually I name things differently for every export especially when I'm bug testing, but for this we'll be fine, I think. Okay, anything about using auto normals, force alignment? I just want from the model. Okay. Dope. Looks like no. We only have one object. Okay. Good to know. All right. So what we'll do we'll just go back in Maya, and essentially I'm just going to assign separate materials to each one of these. So we'll assign new material. Bonk. We'll just use a Lambert, I suppose, and we will name it Matt head. Great. And we will do one here. Assign new material. I'm pretty sure this works. Maybe we should test it before we get too far along here. Matt. We'll call it phones. Cool. And then we'll do the pistons. We do have to have them separated because we have to have a base piston and a top piston. Oh, dewiiTV, thanks for sending a link. Let's see. Oh, thanks. Things are very small. It will cause ice strain. I would imagine 27. Apparently, let's see, is there any progress on that? Okay. Changing the display settings won't make a difference. I'm using drag the dialog is unreadable. This is what it looks like in this release. Okay, so has anyone solved this problem? I already did this thing. But this makes a mess too. I did this thing. It kind of makes a mess of other things. Okay. Okay, here we go. Right-click on After Effects EXE and select Properties. Click the Compatibility tab. Select the checkbox label for override high DPI scaling behavior. Okay, let's see if that works. Thanks for sending that, dewiiTV. Let's see. Looks like we're on a little bit of a diversion again. But it might help everybody to have a better view of this. Okay, After Effects, this is the shortcut. We want the... Where's the executable? Let's check Properties. Program, Adobe After Effects CC support. Files. Where is the After 27 support? It's in support files, okay? There it is. Let's see if this butchers everything. Let me just get out of this. Okay. And save. Oh, I'm going to save as a new version just in case. I should just like do iterate and save. That would do the same exact thing. Yeah, I'm going to close it first. Thanks for the heads up, dewiiTV. Let's see if this works. Okay, let's see. Properties. Compatibility. Override high DPI scaling behavior. Well, let's see what happens. I'll put this up on my upper here just in case it messes everything up. Cross your fingers, kids. It might mess other things up. I did this thing that was ultimately supposed to fix that because I was having such problems painting in Mudbox. Mudbox was a disaster with 4K, and there's zero fixes on it. The only way you can do it is tell Windows not to recognize it as a 4K program. Let's see what happens. It doesn't look low res. Let's just double check too, because they might have said override high DPI scaling. We haven't touched select system. We didn't do the right thing. Damnable fool am I. I kind of figured that the text looked a little too clean. Okay, so we want to go here. We're back in there. Override performed by system. Apply. Let's see what happens now. Yes, maybe? Excuse me. Okay, looks a little fuzzy. That's good. That's a good sign. They won't look fuzzy for you. But it looks fuzzy for me, so that's a good sign. It looks a little pixelated. Okay. Yeah, text looks a little pixelated. That's a good sign. Great. You know what? That would have been really helpful to know for Mudbox. I did this thing where I had to go into the registry. I did all this fancy stuff. How come nobody knows about this? I can't believe this world we live in. There is so much information, but getting your hands on the right information is bloody impossible. Okay, let's see if this worked. It should have worked because I feel like already everything's kind of fuzzy. And my mouse is like a dot. Okay, good. We're back. Thank you, dewiiTV. That's very helpful. Thank you for looking that up and taking charge on that, taking some initiative. That's great. dewiiTV just killed it. Okay, so we're good. Wonderful. I suppose if I want to put it back, I can always put it back after. That's fantastic. All right, so we will do this then. Let's assign a new material for the neck card. Lambert. Matte. Neck. I guess we'll just call it neck. Okay, and then we will... I have to... Unfortunately, there's going to be so many materials. It's kind of annoying. Matte neck. We'll just call it SM piston base. Okay, let's see if I hope this works because we've gone through all this effort. Okay. Matte piston. Oh, SM piston. I guess it's called the shaft or the axle, but SM piston. Matte SM piston base. Okay, up. The other way I could do this is export each object, but that's equally as a pain in the butt. Yeah, it's Spun I think you're right. It's not a negative comment. Like there I don't feel like it's a negative comment, but the comments it's a very accurate comment because she's basically said it's so slow it's going to get boring. Essentially that's what's it's not negative. I don't feel like it's a negative comment. I hope I didn't mean to make it sound like it was a negative, but I'm definitely a little bit resistant of posting them because they are super slow. So I don't want to call it shaft. I think it should have been called axle, but that doesn't matter. Why is this PSM? This should be SM. Great. Okay, so this should give us all the separate pieces. I could go in and change the color on all of them if I, not sure. Does this 5, 6, 7? Makes not a lick of difference, it seems. Weird. It makes like zero difference. Even though, do I have texture enabled? I'm pretty sure I do. Doesn't seem to do anything. Well, who cares? Let's export everything. I'll post them. So I'm happy to post them. I'll post them. I think the main thing I have to do is I do have to make a separate I have to make a separate playlist for them so that people, because I think a lot of people are waiting for new tutorial videos, and it's not exactly the answer to new tutorial videos. I think if you were excited for new tutorial, like new concise tutorial videos, and you got those, you'd be a little bit like, meh, not my favorite. So I can completely understand that would not be the thing that somebody's necessarily looking for. Okay, so let's try to import this again and see if it works. Thanks again, dewiiTV, for fixing our screen resolution problems. I'm sure that's going to cause other problems, but I could always just flip it back once we're done this. OBJ. Okay, so this is the one we did the different materials for. Okay, load material. Did we not? You know what we didn't do? We didn't export the materials. Ugh, I'm the worst. Delete, get out of here. You guys probably saw that coming. Materials, groups can be off. Export selection, it's a learning process for all of us. Let's try again. Please work, because otherwise we wasted so much time. Okay, so there's a lot of different materials. That should... Oh, they're just materials. They're not objects. I thought it would break it up into objects. That's not helpful at all. How do we separate objects? I might have to look in the help for this. I thought this would separate them. Okay, so all that did was separate the scene materials, which I thought it would separate the objects. I thought I've done that before, but I could be hallucinating. But what can I put? Like, how do I put them on aux channels when they're all just one object? Like, what do I put on auxiliary channels? Or is it because it's in a group that I can only see one? Like, this allows me to turn on and off specific material layers, but it's not going to help me actually animate them as custom objects. Ugh, you know what we have to do is export every single object separately. That's the worst. All right, let's do it. Okay, well that didn't work. Sorry, waste of time. I thought it'd work, but it didn't work. Big Manson, don't ever be sorry. I'm sorry. You guys are having to watch me muddle around like a moron. How did they do their packs? Like when they do their buildings and stuff like that, those must be separated objects. I'm just trying to see something really quick. I want to see what this program will bring in. What is the import options? 3D object, 3D sequence. Preferences. Let's just double check. Import options. Okay, so there's no options on breaking apart a model. Let's have a look at one more thing. I just want to import. Okay, what does it import? Let's see this again. Cinema 4D, OBJ, E3D. What is an E3D file? Does anyone know what E3D is? Yes, Bunrita, that is a good solution. I could do that. I could totally do that. The only thing that will not work with that, I think. Oh, Element 3D. Oh, you can save Element 3D objects. Interesting. The only thing that won't work for that possibly, let me just see something, is I won't be able to get my anchor points right because I think I won't be able to center like one of the things I think is going to be a tricky thing to animate is these guys, and I want to be able to position them very independently and without having to really futz around with the. Maybe what we could do is, you're right, we can just turn these off and duplicate this out 10 million times. Really good point. And yes, I should be able to move anchor points in AE. I should be able to adjust them. I should also, I'm pretty sure I should be able to adjust them in here. No, apparently not. Oh, yes, you can. So they're here. So I can adjust them. That's not a problem. I suppose we can just do it that way and just manually adjust them. Let me just see what the orientation does. Does that rotate the object? Yes, it does. Okay, and it leaves the anchor point. That's good. But then how do we rotate the object? Settings. This is moving it. I have a slight concern that I might need to make those neck pistons vertical because right now they're at an angle. And those things I wanted to animate, but they're at weird angles and they're zeroed out, which I think is going to cause problems because I won't be able to. I'm not sure. I may be able to manually do it. That's probably, we'll try that first. So let's use this. Let's use the suggestion by Spunrita. Let's do that because I feel like it's our best option. And let's zoom out because we're inside the head now. In some ways, this is good, I suppose. I mean, the group, we do have a group. Can you move the group? Transform the group. Yes, we can. Here we transform the group. We kind of want it to be around here somewhere, I believe. Let's just turn everything on. Yeah, that's really smart. It's definitely doing it that way is really smart. The only thing that kind of sucks is if you want to animate. That's what I think might be the tricky part is if we want to animate the specific properties of each object. So that's I think the pistons are going to be a pain in the butt. And maybe we just import the pistons manually. That might be we import those and maybe that would be the solution. Let me just change the anchor point of the group here. That's weird that we can change the anchor point, but we still have to reposition it. I'm not sure what to think about that. So we have the group, and then we have the head. Oh, this is a whole new way of thinking. Okay, so I think let's address, I guess first we'll start with the primary, the head. We'll turn off our little pistons. Okay, so that's that. This is a piston. This one's a piston. We should probably name these things. Okay, so this is, let's call this head. And we will call these phones. All right. And we'll position our anchor point so it's right at the base of the neck, okay? And guys, if you have any input on what I'm doing and you want to say, idiot, what are you doing? Do this. Just do it. Don't be afraid. Let me know what you think. I don't mind if you call me a fool. I'm not a teacher. I'm just an After Effects user, muddling my way through things like the rest of us. Okay, so there's our pivot point. I might adjust the position so that the whole thing is zeroed out. Strangely enough, I can't just do the anchor point and then zero things. So this should be actually, we'll just follow these numbers. 0.18 and 0.41. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm just seeing the. I think animated separate, then you duplicate and change the group. Yes, that's true. You can move the anchor in the viewport. Click on the thing with the two arrows. Yes, you can. I believe you can. This thing. That's the object. I think if we're in the anchor like this, we might be able to do it. No. Control. No, I'm pressing. Let's try Alt. Whoa, I just duplicated it. Okay, that's not working. Can you look into mine and see what the rotation on the pistons is? Counter it in the element UI and then do. Yeah. Yes, you can do that. I can't do that, but you know what I did that was really dumb in Maya is I zeroed out these things. As you'll see. Big mistake. Zeroed. So technically, I don't know. Oh, wait, maybe I have these guys. What is this? Let me just double check here. Are these the originals that are unzeroed? Yes, they are. Great, we have that. So you're right. Good. This is why you keep backups of things. We'll hide that. What we can do here is we can just freeze their position. Or no, we don't want to freeze their position. We just want to zero them out. I could just zero them out now, and then I would reposition them the way I wanted them. You know what I mean? So I can just probably, just give me a second here. Great. And then I think I can, these ones aren't zeroed out. Wait a minute, why did that happen? Oh, I know. I'm dumb. I'm super dumb. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, let's just put these back where they need to be because I think I have an idea. We'll just do this. Okay, so we'll have these guys zeroed out. I'm going to freeze the transform on their scale though, because I kind of want I do want their scale to be. Actually, let's just change their pivot point. Oh, actually, I'll just move them up. We'll just leave them the way they are. That's fine. No, I don't want to do that. I want to move their pivot point where I want it, which is roughly around here, and then we'll just do this. Insert, hold X, and bonk. Yep, same thing. About there. Insert, hold X, and bump. There we go. Okay, so we can import these separately. Make me in story. Can you look at this? dewiiTV picture below the viewport. Below the viewport is the tool. Okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm just catching up to your stream here. Yes. Do you mean this thing here? Axis lock. What does axis lock mean? I don't even know what that means. Let's see what it does. Is that changing the anchor point? Yeah, that's the anchor point. You're right. You guys are right. That's the one. Thank you. I wonder if we did axis lock, could we also rotate something? No. Nope. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your help, and thanks for your patience as I move through this thing. All right. So we have these things. I think mostly the only thing left to do is, what is going on here? This scale is wrong. What is that? What has happened here? Well, we'll just fix it. There we are. Wonderful. Just make it a little bit long, just in case we need to get longer. Just double check this one for. Okay, good. I think these are fine. I want to freeze the transforms, but just freeze the scale. So I'll go to modify, freeze transforms, and we will just do scale. Apply, and apply, and apply, and apply. I may freeze the position on these ones. So that's its default. That one has nothing going on anyway. Could be because it's parented, but this one is also parented, and it was moved all over the place. Okay, let's see how this one's shaping up. Come on. All right, we have a translation on the Y. We'll freeze that off. Apply. Okay, great. And this one, I need to put it 0, and then we will apply. Okay. There, we're good. We're good. Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry for the long and annoying thing. Now, I don't know. These ones might not be UV mapped. That might be a problem we have. But this is more for. Let's not worry about it. We're not going to worry about it. We're just going to get going on this because this is more for testing a workflow and seeing if it's possible. And I can always replace the pieces later. Smooth. We'll smooth this twice. Smooth, smooth, and smooth, smooth, and smooth, smooth. Wonderful. There we go. We have our pieces. Let's delete all by type history. Put this at 0. There we go. And then we can just export this as one object, but we need 2 materials. So we'll just do this one. This is the small piston, I believe. Assign existing material, matte small piston shaft. And then we'll go here. And this will be assign existing material, matte small piston base. And then we'll do this one. I might have these backwards, but I don't think it matters. So I'm thinking this is a large one, even though it's really just kind of fat. It's not. It's fatter. But as long as they're different, who cares? Okay. So I'm going to export this one. Neck, piston, LG. Export selection. Okay, that's fine. Export. Neck, piston, SM. I return them to the origin, and this may be stupid, but I've returned them to the origin because I want to be able to animate them and have them offset properly by using a lookat command on a 3D null object. And if they're offset in a weird place and they're not rotated right, I'm going to get all this stuff I have to fight with. And I'm actually more interested in, I'd be happier just positioning them in the right place after the fact using After Effects versus trying to do it in here, if that makes sense. So if they're zeroed out, they're more like loading, loading another object, right? So if we import them, so we have this piston. I'm not sure if we can normalize scale, because if we normalize scale doesn't work the same on all the objects. Let's just put this in here for now so we can work with both of them. See, it doesn't actually normalize in any kind of uniformed way. It just sort of makes the object bigger, I think. Yeah. So we don't actually want to use normalized size. We want to just scale it up. Oh, no. It's not going to do that with our anchor point. Okay. Yeah, it's just like one thing after the other, I swear. It's driving me crazy. Okay. That's roughly where I want my anchor. Actually, we don't want model center. We go from model. There we go. Undo what we just did. Turn that off, and we just go from model because I put the pivot point where I want it. See? We'll just have it normalized and scale it down. I mean, I'm not doing this brilliantly well, in all honesty. I guess I could just actually, okay, we're going to do this properly. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Don't use normalized size because normalized size is inconsistent. And now our anchor point's all messed up. So this has to be all reset. Zero, zero. Oh, this is all weird now. And our head group is probably, no, our group is fine. Sorry, guys. I'm just getting my head back around this thing. 0. Okay. Don't even know why it works that way. Scale is, we want scale on the head. 0, 0, 0. Position. Not sure why that offset is so huge and what is going on here. Okay, let's do this all over again. I'm sorry, guys. This is really annoying. I'm just going to do this all over again now that we know what we're doing. I'm really sorry. This is super annoying to watch. I understand. We'll just not worry about it. Import. Okay, there's the head. Do not normalize the scale. That is the bad thing to do. From model. Import. Neck piston, large. Okay, no. Force alignment from model. Okay, there it is. It should just be in the middle. We'll scale everybody up in the group folder after. We'll see if that's the way to work. I'm just not sure because every program has its own things. Neck piston, small. Okay, thank you. Neck piston, small, large. Okay. Do not normalize the scale. Oh yes, and did we do it from model? From model and model center, because it seems to default from there. Okay, and size-wise, we'll do 1,000. 1,000 and 1,000. Wonderful. Isn't that nice? And everything should be the right size. Again, I'm really sorry for this annoying process. Bones. Head. We will just call this head phones. Okay, and then this one we'll leave as it is. Let us offset. Let us offset the anchor point. Zoom in. Guess we could go to side view, but it doesn't quite matter. This is not a fine science. This is not a science. We are figuring things out. Yeah, Dewey, that's the plan, is to do the rig and element with Duick or manually rig it. Probably manually rig this because I don't know if we need any spline controls or anything on it. It's just the head, it's not the body, right? So, okay, now let's change its position. Bop. Bring this up. I will have the head, I think, at the 0 origin, since it'll be our primary driver, I think, for everything. Right, we could just punch in 0, 0, 0. I don't know why I'm doing that manually. I'm just off my rocker today. I've lost my groove. Okay, we've got our neck pistons. This is the large one, so the big chunky one. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it doesn't really matter. We have to reference the, well, I guess we can reference the original and just have the pistons visible. So there's the big one. So I think what we'll do is just leave these where they are. I don't want to move them. I'm going to actually move them with an object locator later, right? So let's just put this to 0, actually, and we'll deal with those guys in a bit. For now, we'll just turn these ones off. Hopefully they don't cause us any aggravations down the road. So we have headphones, neck piston. I'm keeping it in the same visible group. Hopefully that doesn't cause a problem. We'll see. Okay, let's see what happens. Boom, super small. No problem. We don't even have a camera in here yet. 35, that's probably too much. Typically I go for a shallower, like a narrower lens, so I don't get so much distortion. And possibly let's just go back into this and just scale it up a little bit more. Aside from, instead of moving the camera a whole bunch forward, we'll just scale it up more, and then we can do some more resizing later. 2,000. Okay, no problem. 2,000. And 2,000. There we go. That's starting to feel like a better, more healthy size. Okay, great. So as far as our camera's concerned, we can bop that in a little bit until it's about the right scale. Probably too big. Yes, it is. Okay, and then we can just go here. So I'm just going to be getting myself refamiliarized with element. I've used it many, many times, but I've also forget sometimes what I'm doing. So we may have to put those guys under a separate group because we have these group utilities, and in there you can create the group null. So I think it does have to be part of a separate group. If we want the pistons, if we want to be able to manage the pistons, they have to be in a separate group. So let's create a new group folder. We'll call this neck piston 01, or we'll just SM, and we'll do another one. We only have 5 groups that we can work with, and then from there we have to use multiple instances, I think, of element, but then the lighting won't interact properly. piston. I don't think they cast shadows on it. I can't recall if it will support casting shadows, but I think I should be able to duplicate these and do other things with them. I'm not sure. So let's put large in there and small in here. There we go. Okay. Is everyone visible? Absolutely not. Enable. Enable. Oh, wait. Sorry, I think I forgot to give them a separate group. Should be 2, 3. Or can they all have the same group ID? I don't know. Okay, let's go to custom camera. Actually, let's lock this camera because this will be our face cam. Oof. That is a very distorted camera. Are the pistons visible? Yes, they are. I think we need to make this thing even larger because we're getting a lot of deformation on it. Okay, just bear with me a few more times, guys. Maya has such a small size. It's got such a small scale. It's actually pretty crazy. Let's go 8, 1, 2, 3, 8,000. 8, 1, 2, 3, 8,000, and 8, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully this doesn't cause us grief. It very well could. I just don't want to have so much distortion on it. It makes it a little less wonky looking. Let's go into our camera. We'll put it back to negative 5,000. And let's change our lens angle a bit. Bum, 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 bum. Wider, wider, wider. There you go. Wonderful. Okay. So we can move this camera instead of moving the whole character, which can be helpful. We'll see. Maybe it'll be bad. I have no idea. Okay, so we have group 1, group 2, group 3, all enabled. So in the group utilities, we can create a group null. This null gets created at, we'll call this head anchor. So this is the thing that you can now control head with. So you can attach your code and all your crazy stuff you want to do to that. Let's go to custom view. Excuse me. Now what I'm most curious about, I know I can drive this head with a look at controller, no problem. I'm curious is if we can connect multiple objects to it and have them, like pistons can be really tricky, and have them feel like they're reacting properly. So I want to do the same thing for this is for group 2. I want to create a group null. Bonk. So that's this. And well, that was like, I think it was piston LG. We'll find out in a second. We'll rename it as necessary. And we'll have to have 2 of these. So I'm not sure if we'll duplicate them in this tool or duplicate them somewhere else. Okay, is this the long one or the short one? That's the long one. So this is piston. Why we call it SM, I don't know, but we did. So we'll stay consistent. It's hard to tell which one's fatter with so much lens skewing going on. Maybe we'll just do this and zoom in. Oh, Swifty, the null gets created. Let's just go back in here. That's why I went through that initial setup annoyance. Is you don't have to do it in there. You could set your null afterwards. You could adjust it. But I don't know if you remember how I was positioning this here. So you can position the anchor point like this, or you can lock this like that and then position the anchor point like this, as was pointed out by, I think, was it Migmixon maybe pointed that out? So by creating the anchor point there, the program will create the null objects pivot point there. So it depending on where you put your center point in the object, wherever you put your center point on the object in Maya. So if you've set the center there, it should automatically pick that should be its pivot point. But anyways, it's a little bit of a nuisance, but there we go. So now what I wanted to do, I want to create something. I'm not sure how we're going to do this. I'm going to see. This is going to be hard to model in because this is not a modeling program. These pistons are supposed to go kind of angle into the head. Oh, you know what we need to see is we also need to see the neck. Where is the neck? Okay, we need to take this head. We need to throw the neck in. I need the neck for reference. So where is that neck? There it is. So we're going to create another group. If this works, it's going to blow my mind. If this actually works. My mind will be blown. Come on, guy, get out of there. What are you doing? Ugh, you're annoying. Go there. Okay, we need this one. Duplicate. Oh, is it the same? Good, we're okay. Bop in there. Turn off the head. Turn off the headphones. And turn on. I think the reason the anchor point didn't position exactly. Oh, no, it should have. You're right. Where's this? Where's our neck? Am I doing the wrong object? No. Maybe I just cannot see it. That would be silly. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm the fool. There's the neck guard. So for this one, I'll replace the anchor point down here. Kind of roughly center. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I have no idea, guys. I hope this works. I hope this works. It may not work at all. Okay, so neck, we have head, up, and neck. That'll be group 4. Group 4, oh, okay. No, group 4. There you go. Okay. Okay, so looks like everything's there. Now, what we want to do is I think the long ones went here, so I can generally sort of position these things the way I need to in a weird blurry vision. I don't think fast draft works in this mode, does it? Probably not. Oh, it does. Oh, fast draft is easier. It doesn't make everything so fuzzy looking. Okay, so the pistons, we don't want them to get too much bigger than the neck or go too far away from the back of the neck. Kind of want to keep them close. Put one here. And bring it up a little bit. And then we'll start angling it this way. I'll have to move it a bit back just so that it's not piercing into the head like that. And guys, just let me know if this is absolutely of no interest and it's starting to drive you crazy watching me do this. Just let me know and we can do something else. I'm really curious about so one of the things I was hoping to do. Actually, let's just see if we can do this a little more. I want to use a look at. I want to use a look at for this. I have absolutely no idea if it's going to work. We'll probably have to muck around with it a lot until it actually works respectably. We're going to start with 1. Now that piston was supposed to be penetrating, but I don't mind it like this. I'm trying to bring stuff in more closer to the neck so we don't have a whole bunch of extra pieces to deal with that aren't showing well. Maybe it's going to work better farther away. Sorry. Just having ideas while I work, and I keep forgetting I'm not supposed to think while I'm working. I'm just supposed to do what I'm supposed to do. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we can make this work. It absolutely may not. Okay, because, all right, let's see. All right. Now, basically what the goal is here is if we have the head and the head is rotating, we want this piston to constantly point to an object attached to the head and try to follow it around. Actually, so one way we could do this, let's just take this rotation. I'm going to keyframe this. And I'll put this to 0. I just want to do something really quick. I would like to create a look at point for this. Now the offset's going to be wrong because look at tries to automatically point at. So but I'm going to put it at the end of this little thing here. So I basically want it to look at where I'm going to plug it into. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that without having to muddle around a lot is just by doing this. And then I can delete this frame and it should go back to where it was. Why did that not move correctly? It's weird. Was it not at the end? There's something I did wrong. What is going on here? Oh, it's stabbed inside his head. That's why. Good to know. Okay, no problem. So I guess we'll just go do this again. That's fine. And I can just move this up. The barrel. There. Okay. I hope this is making any amount of sense. Oh, well, Swifty, thanks. I'm glad you wanted to say thanks for getting up so early. I really hope it's worth it for you. That's crazy. All right. So now, hopefully, I know there's a look at function. I think we have to put it in orientation. And we can set a layer to look at. Now, it's going to flip everything around weird. We're going to have to offset that look at. So we have these values, 3.2 and 17. So we're just going to try this. I know there's, what is it? I think it's just look at. I think you can have, how does this work? I can't remember how the look at command works. Let me double check this real quick, guys. Look at After Effects, 3D layer, expression. I'm sure Colin Harvey knows exactly how to do this, but I want to save some face and do some work on my own. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. So they always talk about this and they use that laser technique or whatever it's called. But, okay, here it is. Look at bracket. Okay. That's essentially all it is. Why comma position afterwards? So let's go look at bop. Let's see what that does. He had comma position afterwards, so let's put that in. Comma position. I guess we could look at the anchor point or something maybe. Okay, so it shot down the wrong way. Wonderful. But we're off to a good start. We should be able to offset this, possibly using these. Wonderful. Because the look at is tied to the z-axis. Or this, I believe it's the z-axis, the flat side of the shape. Okay. So if that's looking at this, and this thing, if it's parented to the head anchor, this should work, I hope. It doesn't work. Okay. Look at SM. Look at small. Look at transform. Let's try. Let's just see something. Shouldn't matter if it's parented. Let's try anchor. It's not moving. Why is it not moving? Let's investigate further. I thought it was like a super simple thing. Orient towards or face. You need to scrub the XYZ to see it gets it pointing to the layer you want. Often it can be a bit tricky initially. Anyway, they like to use the beam effect, but I want to use an actual look at effect, which is sort of like an orient constraint, not an orient constraint. It's a look at constraint in Maya. Maybe we have to have animation on it. I'm not sure. I don't think we do though. So we'll try orientation. We may have to have, I'm not sure. We're going to find out. Okay, it doesn't do anything right now. Okay. Let's try rotation. Doesn't seem to affect it whatsoever. Okay. What happens if we just move it? Okay, so it's doing a relative position thing. So we need to be tracking, we need to look at basically the from comp thing, I think. We don't want transform position. We want to look at, what is it? We need like the to comp, from comp thing. Sorry guys, I got to work through this. So essentially what it's doing right now is it's doing a look at in relationship to the position of this object as it lives inside of another object. But if it's parented, it's not looking at its actual position. So if this head's rotating, it doesn't think it's moved at all, even though it's moving all over the place. So we just have to get it to look at the actual world space position. So just let me look this up one more time because I suck at this stuff. We'll get global position of layer After Effects. I just looked this up. I know it's like it's like to world, and then you have to do. I just can't ever remember the exact thing inside the brackets. Bum bum bum. I look at this all the time. There it is, right there. So basically, if I'm right, I don't know if I'm right about this, but we'll find out. It's coding by accident. So this is the layer that we're referencing. So we'll just put this as look at. And that'll be, well, this guy. Punk. And we want to grab its anchor point. Come on. Look at to world. And then we want to go, okay, look at, I always forget this. So go to world and then look at its anchor point. We have a glitch because I spelt this wrong. Oops. Sorry, guys. It's annoying. I'm annoying. Okay. So maybe this will work. Sorry, I turned off the chat. I can't see you. This should work. If this doesn't work, I'm going to scream like a crazy banshee. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Look at. Oh, look at. Oh, yeah, that's why. We basically want to go. I probably shouldn't have named it look at. We'll call it look at layer. That's making it confusing. Maybe we should have, you know, oh my gosh, my names are the worst. We should have just called it target. Target. like the American store that did not do well in Canada. Target. Okay. Right, and the reason it's not working is because I didn't do target. Should be well, we should grab the target anchor point. Well, let me just hang on. I'm losing my brain a little bit. The target is equal to this target.world.anchor point. That's what we're trying to grab. But we can maybe just do this. This is what we do. We go look at L and then bracket inside here. Right? Am I wrong? Wrong. You're wrong. All right, let's figure this out. Bum, 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 bum. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Just hang on. I'm searching the code for this. Just want to make sure I have the right thing. I might have the wrong. What are we saying? Needs 2 arguments. Error in line 2, property orientation of layer. Look at needs 2 arguments. Okay, so let's just go like this. Anchor point. Let's just see if this works. Comma. Position. Bop. Okay, we got something. I'm not sure if that should be anchor point. I just want to see one thing. Anchor point. No. So it has... Oh, well, it would help if you spelt it correctly. Interesting. Does it do anything? Does it actually work? No, that does not work. Wait. Is it moving? It is moving. Is it moving? No. Is it moving? Let's see. Sorry, guys, if this is so super annoying, I apologize deeply. Thanks, Benrita. You were right. It's working, sort of. Okay, so we just have to make sure the orientation is correct now. So here we can change our rotation value to what we need. So this one, we could technically have it at 0. We just put this at 0, 0, 0. Bop, there we go. And now we can adjust the layer that it should be looking at via these little guys. Not that one. And this one. Move over, move over. There we go. Hopefully this works. I don't know if this is going to work. It might not. I don't know. Does it account for tilt? It may not. It may not work for tilt. We'll see. This is where we're going to see if the model is even bad, because it may not stick in the head properly. Okay, so now we have our head anchor. Well, that didn't work. Nothing's happening there. Was I delusional thinking it was working? Oh, I turned it off. Ugh. Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. I turned off the expression before I adjusted things. I haven't even had like a quarter of a beer. I think I'm just actually just not very bright sometimes. Okay, let's try this again. Good heavens. Not working. Okay. Does it work with orientation? It's rotating slightly, but it's really not. It's not. Okay. Let's have a look here. I just want to see what this thing's doing. Maybe we should manually pull this around a whole bunch. Thanks, Bunrita. I'm losing my mind. Sometimes I suck at stuff, okay? Does this do anything? Okay, it's following it, but it's following it at a very reduced amount. And is that because we added any? I'm just going to zero these out really quick, just to see if that has any impact on it whatsoever. No, it does not. Okay, so we're getting it at a very reduced amount. So clearly there's something I did wrong here. Oh. Not sure. Let's try position. Position. Oh, geez. Okay, well, let's just see if that has any effect on anything or if it still moves at a fairly reduced amount. Well, this seems to be moving a little bit more proportionately. So position is the keyword of the day so far. Zero this out. Let's zero that out. And let's just rotate this up. Get this back where we need it. Okay, are you colliding now? There you go. It's getting time. It's getting close. It feels like it's that time, isn't it? That's what we shall recap with the stick figure drawing. Okay. This is better. There we go. It's working. I'm sure it's going to be limited though. I think it'll probably break once we get that far because they didn't plan it like that. But let's see what he looks like from more this angle where it matters because we're not looking at the back of the character at all. We are looking at the front 3/4. So roughly around there. Let's rotate this head around. Okay, it sort of works. There's some positioning stuff here I kind of want to work on. Because when we're there, we definitely don't want that piece going all the way in. But let's do a little bit up and down. Side to side works really nice. Cool. Side to side. Why would that be so? They're both side to side. Isn't that nice? That's side to side. This should be up and down. There we go. Okay, so this robot technically should be limited based on the positions of these, but I just have to position them until they work properly, like mechanically. Mechanically, it's not set up properly yet. Let's have a look here. So when the head turns at a fairly extreme angle like that, it doesn't actually hold together anymore. Unless there's a possibility what we could potentially do is offset the head from its anchor. So if we push the head further in so that it's not rotating on that exact pivot point, it would work better. Or we just, because technically the head shouldn't rotate from that point if we're kind of driving everything from these gears or from the pistons. Let's just see. So overall, okay, so the idea is working. I agree with you, makes sense. If he rotates his head that much, the whole thing will have to. But my thought is perhaps we don't rotate from this point. We rotate a little further back. So we just change this anchor position. And I'm wondering if we can do it in here. We created a group null. We have the auxiliary channel. I didn't. You know what? I've never used the auxiliary channels. We should be able to modify this position a little bit. So my thought is, what if we brought this forward, gets this guy forward a little bit on the neck, and we'll take this thing and just push it in more. We should get a better rotation. And you know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to create another look at target here. So let's just go layer. Let's create a new solid. We'll make it green. I should probably stand up. I've been sitting for 1,000 hours this evening, or an hour and a half. 500 by 500. Actually, let's just go 200 by 200. Okay, this will be our look at target. Make it 3D. Eventually we'll drive, bad move. Eventually we'll drive this thing with other controllers in the composition. But for now, we'll pull this forward here. 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so we'll put that there. I think my keyboard is, it keeps turning to French. As soon as my keyboard turns to French, I can't get anything. None of my hotkeys work anymore. It's really aggravating. So I just want to make sure this matches with the head pivot position, just in the y-axis, because it's going to change the orientation if it doesn't. So this is at 1,000. So let's just put this at 1,000. 12,000, that's great, and negative 3,000. Okay, so then we'll use this object to kind of drive the head looking around. So we can do that by going into the orientation and really just doing that look at command. And because this object's not parented at all, we should just be able to go look at bracket, position, comma, position, bracket, bop. What did I do wrong? Look at this comp, blah, blah, blah. Transform position. Maybe I need to do this. I can't remember. Nope. What did I do wrong? Is not, look at is not a function. Oh. Sorry. My bad. No capital. Don't really have a head for code, I tell you. All right, let's grab this. Start pulling it around a little bit. Pretty cool. See if this guy looks around. It's a lot easier doing this than actually driving rotation values. Cool. Cool head, man. So I can always work a bit more on its positioning, although this was not designed to be a completely accurate thing. Let's also do this really quickly. Save this. Actually, that won't work. I would like to make it a 0 object, but if I do that, then we're going to be dealing with that parenting problem. Well, maybe let's just see what happens. Bonk. Yeah, that messed it up. Doesn't it? Yeah, it does kind of feel like magic. I'm shocked this is even working, honestly. Okay. So if the head's over here roughly. But I think once we have the idea of it working, great. The pivot angle works a little bit better, so it's a little less of a problem. Cool. Okay, so let's try the other piston. I'm going to keyframe this so I have a backup just in case I muddle things up. This is kind of exciting. I've never done. I mean, I've never really done a character that's a head or anything that's this complicated using Element at all. So once we have our rendering properties and stuff on it, it should work pretty cool. It should look really, really, really rad, I'm assuming. Okay, so we want to do group number 3. We need a create. Where is it? This should be the large piston. I was going to go as far potentially as getting the pistons to move up and down the shafts, but it may not be necessary. I mean, it would look cool for the texture, but like getting the actual this piston thing getting longer and shorter, we could have attached it to a scale, but that would require 2 more extra layers. So I'm sort of not really I don't think I'm interested in trying to mess with that. It feels like it'll just be annoying and a whole lot of extra work and without much benefit. I mean, I know we could do it now because this works, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's almost not worth it. Okay, so I'm just bringing this down. Oops, and back. There we go. And this one's meant to be popped in here. Now, technically, I'm not sure about this, though. I don't think this works that way. No, we can't. We can't really offset this thing. We could make a second one that's parented to it, then we don't have to do the offset thing, but it doesn't matter. It should be fine. All right, let's take this thing and just duplicate it, put it all the way up. Boom, 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 boom. Actually, let's move this a little further back. Okay, that's right. All right, it's in a good spot. So, and this is going to be our large, let's just call this target. I'll call this target. Hopefully it doesn't break our code. Okay, so this one, let's put our look at stuff on this guy right away. Thankfully, we can just copy and paste what we did, so we don't have to futz through it so much and muck it all about. Here we go. And let's have a look here, this base one. Put this on orientation. Wonderful. And we want it to be of target would be piston LG. Okay, flips around like an idiot. Oh no, did I keep my thing parented? I did. No, I'm the idiot. Unparent. Still going to flip around like an idiot, but this time we don't have to. This time it should work better. Okay, and now we can move. We'll move that target. I wonder actually, now that we've made this little target, this one's not working. One second. It's not working. Oh, wait, it is. Yeah, it is. It's just being a bit slow. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back here. Custom view. And now let's just put this where we want. What's kind of neat about this is now that we've already set it up, what we could technically, I'm thinking it should work, is that we should just be able to move this where we want. And it'll just try to stick where we want the other one to be. So now if we take the target, just like bop it down, not working for some reason. Unless it's just, yeah, it's too much close right along the body. Let's go in here, stick it inside the head where it belongs. Cool. Sweet. Just bring this one more over here. Now I'm just going to have, I will have to reposition them so they don't collide, because artistically something might be cool, but in reality it might really be not good. It's starting to get a little slow. I'm not sure how this process would run on a slow computer. Okay, so let's go pop. Oh, you know what? We never parented this one, too. This has to be parented to the head. Head anchor. Now let's see what happens. Hold your breath, cross your fingers. Let's just turn and grab this one. Is it working? Oh, well, that's not going to help. No, I don't want to scale. I want to move it. Ugh. Let's make it big enough. Okay, so they start to collide there, but that's still cool. It's still working. I am a robot. Cool. Super fun. Let's just, I need to move the anchor over a bit. This way, please. This way. There you go. I have to also make sure that it's going to look cool from the actual camera. Well, this guy's obscenely large. Scale down, please, sir. So the actual angle of this will be slightly off. I might just duplicate. No, I don't have to duplicate the camera because we can just make a new one if we really want to. We're not finished yet. We're not locked in. But I believe this camera has a look at. Does it? Cool. This is kind of exciting. I think this is fun because I feel like you could do a lot of neat stuff with this. Let's pull this off to the side. Let's see if we can get the position or the look closer to what we need. A little bit lower down and a little bit closer and a little bit further in and a little bit closer. A little further this way and a little further back. Sorry guys, we're getting closer. It's going to work. It's going to work. I know it's going to work. At least we're going to work, which is fun. Okay, we can always change our point of interest. That's fine. Okay. So we're roughly in the right area. Okay. Kind of around there. Cool. And then this thing, we can just grab and muck about, I think. If it ever lets me, because it keeps making me scale it. Actually, you know what I could do? Let's do this. Layer, new. Actually, we don't need a new one. We just need to go here. Let's go to our solids. I'm going to find that big green dumb thing I made. Green, green. 200, 200. That's fine. Weird. Why would you do that? Okay. So this will be called 2D look at position. I'll just put its position around here somewhere. What is the comp? 2400 by 2000, so that should be 1200 by 1. That's center. So now what I can do, well, I guess it depends where we want this thing. Maybe we just have it off to the side, but we'll actually have one in the actual real puppet later. But I'll just zero this out. Bonk. So now it's 0. And so now I can take this. Our layers are a little bit of a mess right now. Not too bad. These are the large guys. There's really not that much going on in this scene. These are the small ones. This is our 3D look at. This is our head anchor. Good. Element. Great. So this is our 0. But what I want to do now is I just want to take this. And I'm going to alt-click this. Let's see if I can do this. Can I do it that way? No, I probably can't do that. I always mess this up. Colin Harvey's shown me a million times how to do this, and I always seem to mess it up. Oh yeah, okay, so I did it. I didn't mess it up. Wait a minute, I probably did. Yeah, I messed it up. 0, 1. What if we go like this? Value. How do I do this? Just add 2 and keep... This won't work because I don't have a 2. How do you do this? I just want to add, without making a whole bunch of code, I wanted to add just the transform position of this layer 0 and 1 to it and leave this part, leave the Z axis alone. I don't know how to do the code for that. And so right now it's not responding to my Y. My Y is also being my X, which is not what I want. So the only way I know how to do it this is the long way and it's kind of dumb. I mean, it's a little more clear for me, but it's dumb. Because this is like saying, this is redundant. It's like saying value, value, value over and over again. And then if I just take, I guess I can be clear about it. 2D look at, just grab that. Bonk. This is a dumb way to do it. So I know Colin Harvey knows a better way to do it. I don't know the code. I can't remember it off the top. Ugh, this thing's getting in my way. I can't remember the code off the top of my head. 2D look at, and then we go 0, essentially. And then this, we just leave it as it is. Then we go position X, position Y. Which it's dumb. I've done it a million times, but that doesn't work at the moment. Just bear with me 1 second. What did I do wrong? I'm starting to lose my patience a little bit with this thing, honestly. And my inability to remember coding sometimes drives me a little bonkers. What did we mess up? It says expected, bop, and got something else. Okay, what are we missing here? 2D look at. This comp dentum transform, bop, bop. 2D look at, yes, 0, 1. Looks correct, but it is wrong for some reason. What line are we on? Bum, bum, bum. Layer 7. After Effects warning, expression disabled. Error line 1. 2D look at equals this comp layer. 2D look at dot transform dot position. I'm not sure what I got wrong there. Oh, Spunrita got it. Thank you. That's the one. So we take value, which is saying all these things, plus 2D look at 0, 2D look at... Okay, thank you so much. That's what I was trying to do. But it still doesn't work. Error line 1. Position in 3D look at in comp head 3D expected. Just bear with me. I'm going to figure this out. We're going to figure it out. 2D look at 0. Oh, I'm an idiot. I deleted my definition. I guess we can do this. Maybe does it help? 2D look at use this comp layer to 2D look at the position value. 2D look at 0. Square brackets. Okay. Why is it square brackets right here and here? I'm still doing something wrong. That shouldn't make a difference. It's all hung up on something here. Just gonna save. Something's like, this is weird. This shouldn't be a problem. It's super weird. It shouldn't be a problem. Value plus. Okay, well let's just try it. We'll just try it the more like that. Super weird. There's something floating in here, maybe? No. Well, that worked. I must have had an extra space or something. Oh, Swifty, does this seem horribly complicated? Honestly, Swifty, I feel like if you can do rigging in Maya, this stuff will, once you get your head around it, it'll be a breeze. So basically what we did here, what we were messing around with, this like code thing, is essentially the equivalent of using the node editor in Maya to connect the X value of this and the Y value of this to this object over here, and not connect to Z value. So it uses its own Z value, but it's just pulling this in. So something like this you could do using an expression in Maya, but ultimately you could use the node editor, which is actually way simpler. So if you guys can bear with me, because I learned when Swifty showed me some stuff, it kind of it really opened up some things to me. But so if I got this guy, I have a sphere, we have a square, wherever it went. Oh, there it is. We can take this guy. So basically with the node editor, you can do something very similar. Let's go to the node editor. Oh, wait, it's up here. Sorry. Bum, bum, bum. It may be a little weird because the windows are all going to be scrunched together. But basically you can take this object. Oops. So I think the cube's in there, yeah. And then I'm going to just delete all the history. Some of you guys don't want to see this. Come on. Great, okay. So I can just pop this in here. So we have the sphere. We have the cube. I should actually edit. Let's try to make sure that's not there. Okay. This may be the one we want. So if I, come on, open up, open up. I don't know why it's not opening for me. So I'm probably not going to do a very good example of this because I just learned how to use this thing. Oh, there it is. We want this one, not the mesh. This is a mesh node, which we don't care about. We want the transform node, so it's this one here. There we go. So let's just say, for instance, what we were trying to do is we can make an object's, not that, this might be, I'm sorry if it's so small to see. Make this a bit bigger, and we'll zoom in. You can basically take this here and do the same thing, and you can take its translate X value out to this one, and translate Y, but not its Z. So then when you go in here, I think I did this right, just move its Z. What should happen is when I move this one up and down, that comes with it. So you can see like this is basically what we did in that coding. So in Maya, this is a far simpler method and approach. And then obviously, which I learned with Swifty, is you can actually attach math to this stuff and do all kinds of things like a multiply. Like you could do a multiplier and a divider. Like you could use like a node like this, and you could drop it in the middle and actually create essentially an equation that minimizes it, makes it have so much. I don't want to get all into the. I won't waste too much time on it, but essentially you can use nodes in a very similar way that use expressions in After Effects, and subsequently Maya's expressions are awful, but the node editor is much easier to use. So There we go. Okay, so yeah, and it's all pictures. It's kind of awesome, and it's actually a really nice way to work. And the math node, the multiply divide mode, is really really sweet because if you well, you need to have your attribute editor visible, but you can basically put your input, take your input, and change the output on it. So the input and the output, you can say like what you're going to do with the number. So if you're bringing an input of an X position or any kind of position, and then you can actually do like 0.5 on it or something like that, and that'll change what's coming out of it. So it's actually really simple to create cool little math in it. And yeah, Swifty, I haven't used a condition node. I'm very curious about that. Can I just ask you while I'm here, because I'm just starting to get into this stuff, and it's actually very exciting for me. Because I feel like I get logic better, and this feels like logic. But so a condition node, oh, there we go. So the first term, second term operation. Oh, cool. Not equal, greater than, wicked. Color if true, color if false. So these will create different numerical values based on, oh, and I guess you could pump in all kinds of math in on those. Yeah, I'd love to see these in action. If you don't mind doing a tutorial on these, I would love to see the basic setup for one of these. Oh, and this would be the mix of whatever the color is. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, so this stuff is really neat. It's exciting to me. And it's actually kind of opened Maya up for me a little bit because I'm so used to doing this stuff. But that very thing that you're looking at with the node editor is a lot more like what's happening under the hood of expressions. It's exactly what you're doing. So using this bit of code that we did here, we're essentially saying keep this value, but add this to the add this look at's X value and its Y value. The only thing that's not the same is that we're adding it. So you would have to, I think if you could use like it's really, I'm not sure how to do this actually in Swifty. I would be really curious about this as well. So you know how in After Effects, if I say value plus and then I add this guy's position to it, right? The equivalent in Maya is that you don't get to go value plus. You can't have that because, well, at least that's my experience. And like, how would you create? So in that thing that we created here, or which I deleted, but that sphere was like tied to this, but not this. But if I want to move that sphere at all, I can't. So how would I make it so I can move the sphere, but then I'm adding this on, so there's like an offset? Because I've done it in Maya before where I do the exact same code as an expression, but all it does is it gets redundant on itself, and the sphere just like shoots off into space. Okay, so there's an offset. That would be, yeah. So is there an offset? Is there an offset thing in the node editor? Oh, that's a character offset. Offset coast curve. Yeah, like where would that be? Anyways, I'm curious about that too. I would love to see something more simple on that, because that's always been a major problem for me. Is like you can't use the object's own animation on top of itself. You can't keyframe an object's animation then stack that on with something else. And After Effects lets you do that inherently, but you cannot do that in this, because like in Maya, if I wanted to animate this guy's, even though this 3D one's moving around as influenced by this, I can still animate it all by itself and add to it, right? So you can get really cool, complex animations. But in Maya, it's like as soon as you plug something into it, you can't animate it on it. Okay, you'd have to do a null. Oh. Okay, Swifty, you would use a group and then limit the aim constraint. Oh, okay, I see. So you're really doing it more manually. That makes sense. Okay, that's fair. Maya does this thing, for any of you that may not understand it, Maya does this thing that if I were to go value plus, every time I move it, every CPU cycle, it will see the change in position and start adding that on to every CPU cycle. So stuff just sort of blasts off into space. So you really ultimately, you have to create a group that you're moving. And inside that group, you're also moving this object. So if you want to move this guy would have a group on it and you would add those movements to it. So it's a little weird, but it's an extra container to hold things in. But anyways, okay, cool. So that aside, thank you. That's cool. I'm learning lots of stuff from you guys. So essentially, what we've done, I have to stop in half an hour just so you guys know. Essentially, what we've done is we've created a little look at controller that is, and we're using some 3D look at commands and anchor points mixed with element to get a functional 3D head in After Effects. So you can see our pieces are working, which is really exciting. The pistons are orientating towards the character's head where the character is looking. We have a little bit of a limited range before it starts like intersecting with the head, but that's actually okay because what I think ultimately I was going to do on top of that is add a rotation to the base head. But I'm not that worried about it because technically we never even see it. This was more just to get something aesthetically looking good from the angle that we would actually see it from. So I'm not so worried from back here. Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. If we did end up back here and we wanted something a little more 360, I would add a rotation to this as well. So this movement would be inside a parented rotation so that we would limit the rotation of this and this. It would get a lot more complicated, but we could make it work. But I think visually from this angle, it's totally fine. So the only thing we really have to add is our next, you can use some nodes to offset is if there's a value that you wish to, okay, but you couldn't use an offset value that's being plugged in as an animated value. Okay, so this one's good because I have a 0 position on it, so it's really easy if I mess it up to put it back to 0. So the only thing I wanted to do next with this head was to add the other pistons, which I don't think I have enough groups for, but someone was mentioning, I think it was Migmigson, auxiliary groups. I don't know how that works. And can I use an auxiliary group? Oh, it's 5604, you're saying like a multiply divide node? Okay, so you could pump values into it. I'm not sure what that would do, but you could probably do that. Okay, so Migmigson, I don't know if you're still here, but were you mentioning auxiliary nodes? And I'm curious because I'd like to get more pipes, but I feel like more little pipe things, but I feel like I'm going to run out of groups. I mean, I am because I only have 5 to work with. So I'll either have to create a separate auxiliary animation. Would that be, what is auxiliary animation? I've never used this that part of things before. So if we have group number 2, auxiliary channels. Like, I don't know what this rotates. Like, and where would it rotate from? Oh, thanks for hanging out, Swifty604. I'll see you later. Thanks for all your help. It's really nice having you join us on the stream. It's good to have somebody who's messing around in Maya too. It's really fun to have you. So thank you. Have a good day. I've never really used these before, but I wonder, auxiliary channels, are they for sub objects, I guess? Let's have a look. I guess I could just look it up. Oh, good night, dewiiTV. Thanks for hanging out. I hope this was somewhat helpful for you. There's auxiliary animation. Could we have something in there? It'd probably have to be driven by another object. I'm not sure how that would work, actually. All right, well, I'm just going to do something. I'm going to duplicate this neck piston large. And I'm going to give it, I'll call this large B. I might have to redo something if we do this. Yeah, thanks, Dewey. Thanks for the resolution fix. That was awesome. That was really helpful. Okay. So let's set this one's auxiliary animation to channel 2. We'll set this one to channel 1. So right now, this whole group, which should be the big ones would be, what are they? Group 2, I think. Oh no, they're group 3. So we should have auxiliary animation channels. Okay, so I can move it. But right now, I think if I move it, it will respond to the orientation of this thing as a group. I'm assuming. Oh, wait, no. Yes, it does. Yeah, okay. It kind of works, but it doesn't. So yeah, Pchelovic, that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be a bit trickier. However, what my thought was, I have a thought. It might work. It might not, but it could work. Is that I just want to check the rotations. Oh, of course I rotated along Y, or possibly Y. Okay. It is rotating from its designated pivot, which is helpful. Which means, let's say for instance, we disconnect it. I'm just going to try something. This could be horrible, okay? So this may not work. I'm going to save. Let's save a backup. But this could be really helpful because then we get lots and lots of objects going on. So what I think we would do is we would disable the connection to the null group. So we'll unlink it, which is tragic in some ways because it was so nicely positioned before. And then, where is that null group? It was this one. And then what I'm thinking we could do is I'm not sure if this will work. We're gonna try this. I don't have any idea if this will actually work. If we take its rotation, oh, this is gonna be a mess. This is going to be a little tricky. So possibly. So we take this one's orientation's X, the orientation Y of our look at object, orientation Z. Okay. As far as position, I'm just not sure. It probably won't match with the position of our actual object. It'll probably have its own like relative space somehow. Yeah. This is going to be tricky. Because then, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to go like this. Value plus home value plus home value plus. So this is how we would do it, I think. And then we would adjust it till it was kind of where we wanted it. So let's say it's there. It's definitely not as nice a way to have to work. But I feel like we can probably get it to work. It's not going to be as interactive or adaptive. Like you would really have to really manually get it where you need it. Oops. But technically, I feel like now maybe, let's just see. Yeah. So it's like it's taking the rotation values, but it's kind of messed up. It's not a nice way to work really at all. It's a bit of a bummer. So it means we have a limited number of objects that we can have in that scene to make it it's feasible. It's feasible to do, but it's definitely not my favorite. I don't want to do it, I don't think. I wish we could had more access to more groups. That would be nice. Had I already duplicated this? Yes, I had. I think, but it should be okay. We just duplicated it. We didn't do anything crazy yet. But we do have auxiliary enabled with these two objects. So, all that to say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'd want to animate that way. We could just separate the groups out and have multiple objects because we're using a group node. We don't have access to a specific object node. It has to be in the group. So I suppose we could have, it just sucks because it makes it so that we can't really have things layer properly. Will they respect each other's geometry? If they do, we're in good shape. If they do, we could have one instance just being the head and then another one being all the pistons and stuff. Well, let's just try it. Let's see what it does. Let's duplicate this. So it should all be the same stuff. So we'll just call element 3D and we'll call this head. Hey, it looks the same. I feel like though it's not going to respect the layer ordering though. I don't think, is that even possible? I think you can get them to interact if you have if you use some of their special like compositing tools. But I feel like, yeah, it's not going to respect the layer order. The layer order would be very specific to the camera's position. So that's fine. I don't think we'll get a shadow from it. But I mean, we can still make it work, right? We can still make it work better than a 2D thing and have all these guys reacting appropriately. We would just have the neck piece and we'd have all the pistons separate from the neck piece. So we would do the head and the neck is one thing, and then that neck bracket is one thing. On the same layer. Good question. Let's try that. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't do that. Oops. Let's just do this. Don't think it's working, but let me just see. I might be able to, let me just turn the head off on this one. Donk. Okay, so we have, and then we have a head one. Wait. Say what? Okay, it's just canceling it out, but maybe there's let me just see this. Nope. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. Okay, simply duplicate your element effect or add another instance from the Effects tab at the top. Utilities render mode. Okay, render mode is under unified. It works. Colin Harvey. Okay, so just to the well, it looks like to the top one. To the one that you want it to see through. So if this was, okay, so this one's the head. And this could be head, neck. Cool, this is awesome. Thank you, Colin Harvey. This is brilliant. Look at guys, it's possible. And this one would be pistons. Great. So that means we can go into scene setup on this one. We only have the head. Great. On the pistons one, we would get rid of the head. Oh, we need the neck. Oh, and I deleted the neck from the other one. But we'll get rid of it for now. We'll put it back in later. Okay. So now we have the pistons. So we want more pistons. So let's go back to scene setup. Hopefully, what do we have? We have group 2, 3. So let's duplicate this one. We'll make this one the right one. Small right. This will be large right. Cool. It's actually a phenomenal plugin. The fact that it can do this is shocking to me. We'll make this group 4. Whoops. Group 4. And this one we'll put down here, and this will be, oops. Oh, come on. This will be group. I guess we'll just do group 1. I don't want to muck about all my groups. It's a little annoying because we didn't think of this in the beginning. I imagine because we have the group nodes that it would mess everything up. So group 1 and this one should not have a, shouldn't have a 1 and group, shoot, what was it? It's a mess now. It's group 1 and group 4. Okay. Group 1 and group 4. Okay, let's just make sure everything's working. Okay, those guys are working. So we have the pistons. Okay, I gotta stop soon. I'm running out of time here. So we have group 4, group 1. I want to create a that and that. Okay. Group 1 is I think it's the small one. Yeah. Oh, wait. Is that the fat one or the long one? This is the long one. So this would be piston SM right anchor. Okay. Piston LG right anchor. I wonder if we could just, well, actually, no, that's not going to work, but we can probably position these largely, at least on the y-axis, the same. So the large one is 1547. Z-axis is 120. 1520. And 244. Okay. Now what we should be able to do is we just have to change their X positions so that it's the same. So let's go to front. Well, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be slightly different. Like, you know, I don't even know. This is the large. So this is the small one. I think the small one is, oh, I can't even remember. Which one's in front? Okay, so it's the big one's in front. So it's this one's over here. Okay, so we'll get it sorted out. So then the rotation on this one can kind of be the same, I think, because it's centered a little bit, maybe. You can take this target. Actually, let's just take this one's. This is the large target. Might move it in just a bit. Actually, we'll just duplicate it. Put it over here. I'm just kind of doing this by eye, even though I'm sure that's not entirely appropriate, but well, this will be large underscore right, okay. And then we need this one's target, this M underscore right underscore. So this one's going to be over here. Kind of, we want it in the same place roughly, but obviously the angle's a little messed up, but that doesn't actually matter at all. So this one could technically be zeroed out as well. Won't make any difference to the actual object itself. Just make sure it's kind of in the right space. I don't know. It's not exactly right, but we can mess with it after. So then we can just take the code from this one and pop it on this one. So that should work, and then we'll have to offset it and everything like that. It should be the same as this one, but opposite, I'm assuming. So -88 possibly. No, didn't work. We want it this way. Doesn't look quite the same. Okay, so I just have to get my head around this a little bit. Ugh, I'm just like all over the map. Nothing's quite centered up yet either. Sorry, it's very manual. It's the math is a little, not the math, but the positioning is a bit wonky for me because it's not, wait, so that was -38. What was the piston SM anchor, piston SM anchor? Why was there no other rotation values on that thing? It's just the one. Interesting. Well, let's just make sure to see. Oh, I know why. I'm an idiot. There we go. You're right. It was the wrong target. There we go. Sorry. I'm an idiot. Oh, good heavens. LG. There we go. Okay, so let's just see the large one. I know this is a little messy. Sorry. 96.2. So let's do negative 96.2. Negative 96.2. Bop. Wrong way. 96.2. Looks like we could just do that. There we go. Okay, so it works. It's the same rotation. It's the same offset values in everything. And everything's in there. Cool. Well, it's working. I mean, that's crazy. Thanks for your compassion, Spinner. I still feel like an idiot. Okay. Cool. What would be super cool is to get a rotational offset happening on the actual head itself too. Would be really neat. So getting a parent layer on the whole thing rotating as well. Oh, lost everybody. Okay, so let's save that. Oh, Spunreed, it's my pleasure. I don't know how I do it either. I'm used to it, I think, from doing tutorials, but this is cool. It's really exciting. Cool. Okay. There's only one thing I want to try. I'm just not sure. It might muddle everything up, but it'd be kind of sweet. I'm not sure if I know of a good way to do it. I really should stop, but I'm kind of excited about this weird head. It works really good. Cool. Okay. Please tell him. I don't even think that guy knows I exist. Cool. Look at that. I'm curious. I'm just curious. I'm going to see. Let's just go layer. It's going to add a light really quick. I would be shocked if this actually works, but I'm curious if it would recognize the shadows from this scene. I would be really surprised if it does, but cause I'm going to make this my little look at box less opaque. It is cool to have this functionality in After Effects. I know it's not perfect, but it's pretty insane that this plugin is powerful enough to do this. I suppose with I mean, obviously jumping the gun a little bit, but render settings, lighting, use comp lights, yes, shadows, enable shadows. Does that actually affect? Oh no, wait, we're not even using this layer. Brain turning to mush. Where are you? Render mode unified. Who's the boss of this? Render settings. Oh, interesting. I wonder if you go unified, is that possible? Could the plugin be that intelligent? When you go unified, does it get rid of render settings so that you only have one render setting to do? That would be amazing. I was worried I'd have to do this on both of them. Let's just put a small fall off on this light. Cool. Shadows. Enable. Ray trace shadows? Yeah, it seems to work. Shadow mapping. Does not work. Ray trace shadows. We're not going to go crazy. We'll just have one shadow for now. Okay. I think it's respecting the light because I'm not seeing a light shift on the pistons. So they're clearly in shadow. Let's see. Okay. No light on the shadow pistons yet. That's a good sign. Yes, cool. It respects the cool. It is a real unified renderer. Cool. Look at it. It's actually working. That's amazing. I really love it. That's really cool. Cool. And you know what else? Man, this is so exciting. I'm super, super excited about this. The only thing I want to do is I want to add a slight rotation to the core of it. We also, I don't have my my bottom neck piece on. So I have to get back in there. I deleted it. Big old dummy me. Do I have it in this one still though? I might. No, I got rid of it. I was overzealous. Let's put it on the head. It's still in there. I just have to duplicate the head and put it in a different group. Neck. And we shall put this under group 2. Otherwise it will move all around. There it is. Great. Hopefully it's in the right place. Hell no. Oh, maybe it is. No, it's just not. It's not high enough. Let's just go to custom view and see where that neck piece actually is. It resides in a different location in space. I think because we moved some stuff around. At least I'm hoping that's what we did. Let's go left. Oh, it's at a weird angle too. Is that no, because the head's at 0. Why is the, let's see, group 1, group 2. Unlink? That's why. It was linked to this driver up here. Okay, good to know. So it's still sort of, if it has no objects it's following, it'll, anyways, this one, it's fine now. I might want to move it down a little bit though. Thanks for hanging out, Colin Harvey. Hey, who's even 50? Welcome to the stream. Ambient occlusion, that's a good question. Let's check. Seems to. I don't have it super strong, but yeah, it seems to be working. Well, maybe for everybody, it's hard to tell. Let me move the neck thing down. I think I can just, since we're not animating this thing, I think I might just move it. Oh, wrong one. Wait a minute. Head and neck. This gets a little confusing. Group number 2, particle replicator. How do I move that? Or we just change the particle position? No, we need the replicator to move down. There we go. Cool. I kind of want it a bit lower. Cool. Okay, so that's working. Now the only thing I kind of wanted to do was, although would that have to be on a null object, a group null? I'm wondering if I could create a group 2 null on this. Is it going to, I'm wondering if it's going to override my original create. We just created one. So we'll call this, oh no, what have I done? Neck base. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Its anchor points in the wrong place, but that's all right. I'm curious about possibly doing a look at for it as well and then having everyone underneath it. So if I bring this all the way down here, like that, and then I'll take actually, you know what I could do? That might be a bad idea. I'm not sure. I have to think something through. Group number 2, and I'll just bring this up until it's in the right space. Cool. That should be all right. Something like that. Possibly a little closer over here. Actually, let's see where our null object is. I think that's it right here. Okay, that's brought in a touch, and then I just want to bring this piece up a little bit more. Oops, not that one. What am I doing? What am I doing? Head. I keep doing the wrong one. Bring that up a bit. Okay, let's have a camera look. Okay, so what I was thinking is I'm thinking of adding a rotation thing onto the neck base and then having everyone parented to the neck base, although I'm a little nervous what that's going to do to everything. So we have all this stuff. There's kind of a lot going on. I know it's a bit of a mess. I'll clean it up later when I do it again. I'm going to do this again for the real thing. This is all the right target. SM right anchor. Large right anchor. Okay, we'll do that like that and color these guys. Different colors. Purple. Yellow or aqua, whatever. So they're separate colors, they're readable. And the question is can we just take these anchors and then parent them to neck? No, that's not good. That automatically messes up their rotations. Let's see what this is. Rotation value is. Yeah, okay, so we can't do that. All right. Probably would have had to start that way, I guess. It's a little weird. Why would that go all weird for these anchors? Their orientation's animated, but why would their orientation go all weird just because they're parented to someone? Like flips them all around. Migmigson, I want to see what you made here. Oh, what's this guy? Oh, cool. How did you do this one? Is that using like a twist or something in Element? Nice job. Wow, that's good movement. I'm surprised how well that works. Can you, yeah, tell me how you did that using a twist and bend deformers. Oh, that's nice. That's actually really cool. That looks really neat. I'm curious. Good job. I think that's impressive. I'm curious as to why the orientation on these guys flips all weird. Excuse me, sorry. When it's parented. I wonder if I parent it. I'm just curious. I'm going to try something. I wonder if I parent this and then I get rid of my offsets if it works better. No. So it looks like it's flipped somehow. Negative 95.2. Nope, that doesn't work either. So it's definitely a different, there's a different value on the rotation. I wonder if the rotations are also messed up. Like when you actually animate it, I just want to see something because I'm trying to figure out if I could parent this all, then I could do something else with it. It's kind of like the whole thing got a little messed up once it was parented. It doesn't really work to parent at the moment. But I want to see also, I'm just going to check something and see if the orientation holds together when the head stuff's moving, even though I wonder if the orientation will be all muggled up too. Or if it seems to be okay. Maybe? Yeah. Okay, so it just has to be recalibrated. I like your squishy fart guy. Is great. So essentially, if I want it parented, I have to reposition them, which is fine. It's not the worst thing to have to deal with. Because it gets reoriented. I'm curious though, if I were to, so it's parented now. I've made a mess of everything because now if I want to unparent, it's going to be a nightmare. I'm curious if I rotate this, what'll happen. Interesting. I'm not sure how much of a good idea this is. What I would like to do, and it's not working at the moment, but I would like to have a kind of a core driver push this thing around a little bit. Like having the neck piece. Like it would be nice if when I was playing with it's a bit ambitious for this time of night, but it'd be nice if I was playing with this head that not only did the oh, I want to see that spun Rita. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I think you're right, Meg Mason. I think Element is usually relegated to motion graphics, even as much as they show like really cool jet fighters and stuff. I don't think a lot of people are using it that way, and it's pretty fast. I mean, I'm shocked at how fast it is, considering. I would like to. I think what definitely like to do to add to this character is I want to add a rotator, like a platform rotator that sits on the bottom of the neck. That would rotate the whole head about. I mean, we could fake it a little bit just by adding some rotation on this thing. Like adding a look at rotation on that. On the bottom piece, which might just be enough, but it would be cool to have the whole head rotate a bit more. Like the capacity to rotate the neck, because it probably should have had everything parented to a primary 3D object anyway. like having unless I guess we could do it in the world transform. I'm not sure though. Probably should. Yeah, so I guess what I should do, now I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's good to mess around with the world transform. So I think what I would do, okay, let's see here. I want to see the spin reader. So it used to have fart sounds and you're using joysticks and sliders. I want to use joysticks. I was wanting to play with, wow, this guy's super cute. These guys are great. Wow, this looks super nice, Spinrita. Wow, really nice. It looks really nice. Aw. Wow, that works really well. Oh, it's really nice. You did a really beautiful job. I'm really impressed with that. I really like the design of it too. Wow, congratulations. That's a really beautiful little animation. And this is all really nice. The little custom rig controllers are really nice. What are you doing up here with these little guys? You've got these little dotted squares. Did you set those up as like they're just custom shapes and you've created a little controller interface for it? So this is these guys' little positions, or is this the way they're looking? Oh, that's their looking. So that guy's looking that way, that way. And you're sort of animating all the different ways that they look, and then you're moving them around manually. And do they all, I guess they all respond to that one universal slider there, controller? The animation is really nice. You did a good job. Wow, I'm really impressed with that. Nice job, Spinrita. Congratulations. You deserve a round of applause. That's really beautiful. Really nice work. Did you design the characters too? Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to stop soon. Thank you for sharing everything, guys. I think this is really cool. I think we made it work, which is really rad. I wasn't expecting this to actually work, but it's working really well. And what's cool about this too is I think we'll be able to animate the headphones a little bit as well. But we have an effective, pretty effective robot head rig. But I think the next thing to do is to add a rotation controller to the base of the neck so that the whole neck can rotate. Right now we have it quite anchored, but I also want to be able to rotate the neck in general. We could possibly do it with a world transform, but I think that could be a little bit sloppy because I think we might end up with, if there's lighting and stuff in there, it moves the world. It doesn't just move the objects. So the best bet would be to get a root like the neck base and have everyone parented to that neck base. And currently that messes up our orientation stuff a little bit, and we would want to put the head anchor to it. I feel like right now that's going to mess up things. Yeah, it messes up the orientation. I'm not sure why. Probably because it's possible because it's not a global value that we're plugging in. Anyways, I'm not quite sure why that does that, but we would have to just redo all the offsets for it. But that's fine. But anyways, because once that's in there, I could technically rotate this and give the whole neck a feel like it's rotating. Maybe for now, what we could do is, let's just see, is this working? Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, so we could technically, just for now, for the sake of making it look cool, we could possibly just add a look at on this one. I wonder if we can diminish the effect. That probably won't work. That'll probably make a weird mess. Let's see. Oh, you can. Okay, so the effect is diminished if I put it down. So that's created a little bit of a tilt and stuff in this neck piece, which is helpful. Kind of creates the illusion that everything's moving when it's not. Cool, that's kind of cool. So let's just animate something really quick and get a feel for it. I might rotate this neck piece just down slightly, just to offset. That way. Cool. All right, so let's animate this thing and just see it working in action. Actually, I'll bring it further forward a touch. Wrong way, wrong way. It's currently, I believe it's currently colliding with stuff. There we go. Okay. Maybe scale it up a tiny bit. Cool. All right, and that'll be behind the whole thing. So we'll put this to 0. So I'll just save this. And I'm just going to use motion sketch. Not that I don't think it's going to work really well. We'll see. Okay, so we did a motion sketch of this. The characters were designed by a French artist named Marino Shu. I really like the character designs too. They're really nice. Oh, those are cute. Aw. Well, you definitely nailed them. It looks great. Oh, that's cute. And the Blinksy twins. Nice work, guys. You guys did a great job. It's beautiful. Really impressed by that. And Migmigson's like crazy stretchy rig is really good. You guys are doing cool stuff. I want to try to incorporate some of that stretchiness in as well. Okay, so why? I don't know why this always happens. Close enough. All right, let's see what happens. Just going to save. And let's play this out. Let it render for a bit. So I just animated using the motion sketch controller. I gotta leave really soon. We'll see how this guy works. So I'd say it's a success. I would say this is a success. Oh, is it because it's parented? Oh, I see. You're right, Pachelovic. Thank you for pointing that out. You're right. It's totally parented. It's parented so that it can be 0. I know, I did because I want to see how it looks. It's going to take a little bit of time to render, but we can just take a quick look. Let's turn off the other guy's head reference. I feel like we nailed it though. I feel like it's pretty good. Once we get the they're not really the shadows aren't they're really low res ray trace because there's only one sample, but I think the animation's really cool, and I think the pistons are really working really cool. I mean, I think some stuff we could add to them is we could add some auxiliary animation to the pistons going up and down if we really wanted to. We wouldn't have to create all the little null objects and stuff like that. We could create them moving up and down just based on the rotation value. We could make one get longer and shorter. It would just be some movement, but I'm not really worried about that. I think for what we've started here is based on there was an animation somebody did with this leg, this biomechanic, like animated by Dewick, very similar thing that we're doing here. But we did some other stuff that was pretty interesting, creating these like little systems of these objects all following another single object to create this idea of like these pistons moving. So I think overall I feel like we've cracked the lid open, at least for myself, of what we could do with Elemented. And it's not so limited anymore. Because the only thing I've ever done before was just have a head, right? I never had like neck pieces and other stuff happening. So it's really promising for some mechanical geometry and stuff. And the render's relatively fast. I think once you get down the handle of the coding, you could do something like this in Maya pretty simply, but to render it out with the rest of your rig, so what'll be cool is as we're driving that look at controller, we'll be able to drive that from the root composition, and that will control the whole body, right? We're gonna get some nice pitching effect happening. We'll control the position of the neck a little bit with the look at slider, so we'll get the body all moving together and we could do this as this real-time animation. So I think it'll be really cool. So we're going to render back in 1 second. So this is, I tried to do some broad movements. Let's see how many frames we have left. I have no idea. Oh, we're almost at the end. So we did 20 seconds. Whoop. I think I pulled the head over at the very end. Or no, maybe I put it back to 0. Oh, there we go. Come on over. Do something cool. Oh, I never brought the face all the way over. Oh, sort of did. There we go. Okay, I'm not sure if the whole thing will have rendered. Did it work? Cool, it works. Cool. Well, this is kind of exciting. I'm pretty happy. I think this is really neat. So we can do a 3D head in After Effects with all these little pistons and stuff. We don't have to do it in 2D. So done. We did it. And it's pretty fun to animate. That was pretty simple to animate. And I think it looks pretty cool. So I think it'll be really neat once everything's moving around and the character's going. I think it's kind of opened my mind a little bit to what's possible. Definitely we can't do like blend shapes, or not blend shapes. We can't do all the like really fancy 3D stuff that Maya can do. So like really skinned characters, but we can definitely do some really cool mechanical things and additions. So you could do hands and we could do all sorts of neat stuff. So yeah, cool. All right, guys, I'm gonna bail. I'm definitely a bit later than I had intended, but I'm really happy. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for this helping making this happen. This is really cool. I'm super excited. I think it's only going to get better. So we have a pretty cool little puppet coming, and then the body's coming together. So everything's really, really gluing, stitching up. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys in a couple days on the next stream. So see you later. And I'll have the shout out, and we'll have the title in because for the Patreon subscribers and stuff, that'll be on in the next stream. All right. So thank you for hanging out, guys. I'll see you later.